keep on kissing babies and hugging fat girls. You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch! What? It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
And you t-shirts are too tight too, Billy! And you book a match with me against Ryan Keelan! Look at me! I'm a total package! I will rip him apart! I'm pissed now!
Where to, Stephanie?
WrestleRoasts on ad-free shows and ATC. Welcome everybody to WrestleRoasts. I am your host, the King of Sad Style, Dan St. Germain. I'm here with Robert Karpeles, Scott Chaplin, and Mike Lawrence. And as always, our producer, Zachary Million. We got a fun show coming up. The roast of the Ultimate Warrior. You guys excited? Were you a big Warrior fan, Robert? I know Mike was.
No, I was a big Hogan fan as a kid. So Warrior beating Hogan at WrestleMania was my 9/11.
So you were sad about that.
Not only was I sad about that, I had a friend that was a Warrior fan, and we stopped talking for a couple weeks because of this.
Oh
like that,
God.
this ended
I mean,
friendships.
And at that point, how many friends did you have? 3?
That's fair, but to be fair, he was weird because he had like a bread allergy, so we couldn't have you had to be worried about anything you ate around him, or he was gonna die. And he was only allowed to eat Hydrox cookies. It was the weirdest fucking thing.
That sounds like I had a friendship with wrestling. Is one of those things where it makes like strange and awkward bedfellows. Like I've had some friends that I mean, without a doubt,
it still does.
Well, I'm saying like this crew is like way better than some of the pay-per-view crews that I've had to hang out with, man. I'm not gonna like drop any. I've actually been to some with Lawrence.
Oh God, yeah.
We can't really go into just yet, but
we'll just say Cuckomania was running wild.
It was quite the night, folks. But before we get into the bright side of the ring, we'll be talking about all the stuff we love about the Ultimate Warrior. We got the roasted Jerry the King Lawler next week, followed by Big Daddy Cool Kevin Nash, the Macho Man Randy Savage, Batista Sting, and Rob Van Dam. For Patreon this Monday, we're going to have the roast of Dave Meltzer coming at you, and we're going to review Leprechaun Origins, which I thought was going to be more painless than the Chaperone, because you physically can't get the Chaperone online. I don't know. Like that's the most like Triple H's use his stroke is he's completely gotten rid of the Chaperone.
It says not, you go on Amazon and it says not available in your country. So
I heard, didn't the Fed show up to that 19 kids and counting guy's place because he downloaded it?
19 Kids and Counting, by the way, is our name of our Jerry Lawler episode next week.
19 charges and counting.
No, this movie is like, it's like that Jerry Lewis Holocaust clown movie that you can't find anywhere. Just like Triple H has an entire room of nothing but Chaperone VHSs.
Are you referring, Robert, to The Day the Clown Cried?
Yes, of course. The legendary film. The most depressing part about the Chaperone, and the reason why I was looking forward to watching it, is the guy who directed Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Mr. Holland's Opus.
Mike was going through his credits. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. What happened to this guy?
Triple H, and maybe it was good, like maybe it was a good idea. It's just
there needs to be a dark side of the ring just about directors who wound up doing WWE studio movies, who all had real careers and then wound up doing this.
Well, what's weird about so the one that we're reviewing this Sunday, and we're going to talk about it a lot this Sunday. I thought it was going to be better than the other options because we had put it up against Knucklehead, The Chaperone, and Legendary, that John Cena, Danny Glover, like heartstrings movie that nobody has ever seen. I thought this was going to be better just because, it's a horror movie. You can't really, it's harder to make a horror movie as bad as it is a bad drama movie. It's just tough because of the nature of the medium. But man, they come close because this is one gigantic piece of shit that I had to watch. And I tried to get off having to do like the recap bit by bit. So I was like, because Robert takes really good notes. So I was like, hey, Robert, are you taking notes on this Leprechaun origin? So he's just like, yeah, man, I'm going to let you have this one. So, I mean, it's a real piece of shit.
Good. It's going to be us and Ben Mankiewicz dissecting this film.
But we're going to be roasting Meltzer. I just wrote my jokes for today. We're also going to have Kurt Ryan on. And, we're all about representation on this podcast, like when we roast a gay guy, we want to have a gay guy on. When we roast a black person, we want a black person on. But you know what?
I don't know if that's diversity. I think that's like
pigeonholing.
It's like, yeah, it's like specifically bad.
Okay, so we're guys. So we're bad guys. This Monday is going to be no different. Everyone who thinks that we're kicking down with Meltzer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce one of our hosts, newly diagnosed autistic, Mike Lawrence. With
congrats, man.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks, man. One of the I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder on Monday. And one of the questions was, do you host a wrestling podcast?
Oh, you got the answer to that. And for $10, if you want to become a sports entertainment fan, where me and Robert Karpeles talk about Raw every Monday. This past week, I had to do it by myself. Unfortunately, Robert had a passing in the family. And my God, it was reviewing Monday Night Raw by yourself is the ultimate in space. No one can hear you scream. It is not for the faint of heart, folks.
I will say, since I did feel bad about missing something to sports entertainment with this Monday, I will be doing a bonus episode that I will be recording tomorrow, where I am going to be talking about Eva Marie as part of the WWE women's division and why this is the best thing to happen to wrestling. I promise you it will make sense and it will be well worth your time. Not that
serious?
Dan. Oh yeah, 100%. I'm doing what you do. You wait to drop stuff when we're actually live on the air.
Right.
But yeah, I'm recording this tomorrow. I've already put together notes. It's going to make sense. Why Eva Marie joining the women's division is the best thing to happen to the women's division, but you can only hear it.
I feel like you should have to pay them $5, but okay, I'm excited.
I will say I don't think it's a bad thing. Can you believe Mickie James? This girl gets fired. She's all like upset. We feel bad for her. And then Eva Marie gets hired and she laughs about it on Twitter. Not cool.
She's got a lot of free time, Scott. This is what she can do.
If that was a dude, I'd say, man, kind of a dick. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, okay, women helping women.
Before we talk about the Warrior, I would like to read off the filmography.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. So I got to ask, how are you so good at handicapping these games? I mean, 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
Well, let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. And those picks for the year, every NFL pick so far, 23-8. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. The average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career, they have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. So, I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at vegaswinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to vegaswinners.com right now. Let's win some money.
Of the director of The Chaperone, Steve Herrick, because it really, you work in show business long enough, you realize you can learn someone's entire story from their IMDb. So
I literally tried to look this guy up to see if he had like Twitter, because I wanted to reach out and just be like, what the fuck happened to you?
No,
He
it's
doesn't
very
have Twitter.
clear. It's,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So he wrote and directed the first Critters, but good movie. Then after that, he's just a director. He does Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh, I loved that.
Yeah, The Mighty Ducks. Like, these are all really good movies. The 1993 The Three Musketeers, Mr. Holland's Opus, the Glenn Close starring 101 Dalmatians. So these are like fucking heavy hitters.
That's a huge movie, the Glenn Close movie.
Yeah. Then he does the Eddie Murphy film Holy Man.
Ooh.
Then he does the Mark Wahlberg Rockstar movie.
Oh, I liked that, man. Dude, that movie was hilarious. That's when he's like, when they're like, but can you sing like Bobby? Like at the press conference, and then he goes, can I sing like Bobby? And he hits a high note, and they're like, he can. He's a genius.
The least surprising part of this is that Scott loved that movie.
That was fun, man.
Then he does Life or Something Like It, was the Angelina Jolie movie where the trailer was all about she's told she's going to die. But then I remember watching on a plane and she's alive at the end. Like, what the fuck? Then Man of the House, the one with Tommy Lee Jones and the cheerleaders.
Oh, classic.
Oh,
You see the pattern here. And after that, it's all direct to video stuff.
God, could you imagine Tommy Lee Jones being directed by you in a movie he hates? That must be just one of the most painful experiences.
So pretty much any director he's worked with. I can't imagine that anything has ever brought that man joy.
Well, folks, we are going to be bringing you a lot of joy when we talk about Dylan Posty, aka Hornswoggle, starring in Leprechaun Origins. We're also going to be doing the roast of Dave Meltzer. Now, there's no way that Dave hasn't heard that we're doing this roast, because he has responded to tweets with people who have far less Twitter followers than we do. And I know we've tagged it. Do you think there's any way Meltzer tweets about this, guys?
No, I really don't.
I mean,
I think he only tweets about things when he feels like someone's incorrect. And like, we're not going to be incorrect about anything we say.
They said I used a binder clip to send it out. It's a staple. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he will tweet us, because us doing a roast about him isn't actual news.
Oh, we're not going to get better than that. Let's start with the bright side of the ring. Probably the biggest Ultimate Warrior fan on this podcast, Mike Lawrence. Mike, you want to take us away? What should we love about the Ultimate Warrior?
I mean, I would not be doing this podcast if it wasn't for A, the Ultimate Warrior, and B, all of my bullies. So he's what got me into wrestling. You know, I'm a comic book fan first. He was a living comic book character. He is, if Rob Liefeld drew a professional wrestler. The proportions are weird. He doesn't make sense, but he just looks cool. He was the first Hasbro I got. I always picked him in WrestleFest. He's my guy. And I think that, you know, WWE is more about moments than matches. And I don't think anything exemplifies that more than the Ultimate Warrior. If you go through his career year by year, yeah, a lot of the matches aren't great, but he's got so many great moments. I mean, the moment with him in Honky Tonk Man is one of the best ever. Like, he beats a guy in 30 seconds who's held the belt for 454 days. That's just fucking awesome. And you instantly make a star. Then, you know, the Hogan match, it's just, there wasn't anything like that. Like, those two guys were the guys, and Warrior won, you know. I think that, you know, I always say, like, Roman Reigns is like if you asked an 8-year-old now to draw what they think a man is, and I think
Ultimate they're like Warrior, bulletproof vest.
Exactly. But now he's taking it off because he feels safer. But
because he wants to be shot.
Like, he's, you know, it's like a kid imagined him. He's just fucking awesome. And you know, I know that him and Sting started together, but physique-wise, he just looks so much more fucking jacked. And so, like, my view of WWF versus WCW as a kid is Ultimate Warrior versus Sting. And I was a Warrior mark. So he's, I think that's the short of it. Just the best fucking theme song ever. one of the best entrances ever. It's just everything about him was spectacle. So there you go.
I can't argue with that. I mean, he was the first action figure I brought. There's a good argument that he was the reason I got into wrestling too. He just looks like steroids are cool. Like he's he was a big star for that period. And I think that like one thing that I will always give the Ultimate Warrior credit for is he did not get fucked over by Vince, man. Yes, they released that that DVD where they buried him, but I mean, as far as like actually getting one over on the old man, I mean, the guy like fucked him on money a couple times. That's
he
awesome.
held him up, right? And I mean, Vince straight up just paid him, give him what he wants.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially like it's such like a carny business where everybody's like, stabbing each other in the back. It's kind of fun whenever somebody like out Vince's Vince.
Yeah, and you're taught to, and the documentary does this. I remember watching it when it came out. You're taught to think that anyone who holds up Vince or money or just does wrestling for money is a piece of shit. They're on the right side of history, if you ask me.
Well, the thing, it's like, and then they try to use that. They tried to use that on Jarrett too, which Jarrett was even a different situation than Warriors. Jarrett was just asking for the money Vince owed him.
Yeah.
So. This was but give it up for Warrior, man. That dude fucking, he didn't love the business, and because of that, the guy got paid, man. And I will say this, like, it's a lot easier to do. Okay, I don't agree with any of Ultimate Warrior's political opinions, but it's a hell of a lot easier for me to go on stage in New York and do, and talk about what I believe in than like Warrior going to like a college and saying all that shit in front of them. It's like kind of ballsy. I don't agree with it, but I'm like, dude, that's like he was getting chewed. Like, I don't know if you've seen in these videos where he's been on the college lecture circuit, but he is getting ripped apart by these kids, like ripped apart in a way that almost nobody I know would stand for now. So yeah, I mean, he is like, he did believe in freedom of speech. I do think
he's a modern day Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
And that he also didn't live to see 60.
His positive critique is like someone's positive critique of Lisa Lampanelli, like calls it like he sees it. Like, okay.
And then the other thing I'll say, I mean, he seems like his wife liked him a lot. His kids liked him a lot. And
man, I read another thing though. Did you read the thing? Is his brother wrote?
No,
dude, it's brutal. That's what's so hard, man. It's like, so I never grew up watching Warrior. Ultimate Warrior to me was something that when I liked wrestling as a kid, someone older than me would go, "Oh yeah, Ultimate Warrior," and then I'd have to be like, "Who the fuck is that?" Because I had no clue who he was. And then again, I was taught to hate him because of the self-destruction of Ultimate Warrior. So I don't really have any sort of attachment to him. And then you see his actual opinions, and they're not even like political. It's just like, you just go, well, that's very rude. Like he becomes your uncle and you go like, well, goddamn, why? Like it's so broad and specific, and it's just, it's cruel. I mean, we'll get to it during the roast, but it's like, if like a famous person would die, I mean, he's kind of like those, I don't even know what you call them besides saying a slur, but those people who like stand out in front of like soldiers' funerals. He's like one of those people, kind of.
Oh, you
like
mean
if a celebrity would die, he'd be like,
the
great.
God hates,
Fred Phelps.
Fucking out there,
Westboro
weird dude.
Baptist Church.
Yeah, but the Westboro Baptist Church, they believe in free speech too, and they should be commended for their free speech, right, Dan?
Well, I will say this about the Westboro Baptist Church. Fred Phelps did believe in civil rights. He was a civil rights hero in the 80s. Which is so weird.
Dan, there's no tougher crowd than a dead soldier's funeral. I'll tell you that much.
Dan is taking
try to get a reaction.
You're taking Brightside a little too seriously, buddy.
No, but I'm saying that is true about Fred Phelps. Fred Phelps was like, it was like Jim Jones. It was the same thing. Like they were very conscious about black issues, even though they hated gay people.
Marched with Martin
Jim Jones did.
Jr. against gay people, guys.
They
would both be infuriated by the Rainbow Coalition.
But the dude made money, and as far as I know, he made sure his kids had shelter, and that's it is all you can ask for from
That's more than Jannetty.
Yeah, I would much rather be Ultimate Warrior's daughter than Marty Jannetty's daughter.
I think for me, trying to come up with a bright side of the ring, entrance music was undoubtedly cool. He was the epitome of sports entertainment. He couldn't wrestle, but Vince turned him into a megastar with a lot of smoke and mirrors. And he became the second biggest baby face of the era behind Hogan. He sold a ton of merchandise. Yes, and the thing is, he fucked over Vince. He was gone forever. And then he comes back in the mid 90s. He fucks Vince over again. He's dead to them forever. They bury him in that DVD, which I was there when they made that thing, and we all heard about it, and I was excited to see it. And it's like, this man will never come back again. It is scorched earth. Oh, he's going to be in a video game? Let's bring him into the Hall of Fame and make some more money off of him before he finally dies. Like, that is why I love Vince McMahon as a businessman, because he genuinely will do whatever is best for the company. With the exception of, Savage potentially fucking his daughter, which even that ultimately blew over. But the fact is Warrior fucked him over 3 times and is genuinely a monster to a lot of people. And now he is enshrined in the Hall of Fame. He's back in good graces, and he's back in video packages. That's the thing that Vince holds that nobody else has. That's why Scott doesn't know why Warrior was so important, because once you screw over Vince McMahon, you're erased from history for a long, long time. So the fans that grew up in the Attitude Era and subsequent had no real idea of how important Warrior was, because he was just edited out of video packages. In the same way, when Hogan went to WCW, he was minimized and not part of things anymore. It's why I sometimes get bummed when guys go to AEW, not because I don't think they're going to do good work in AEW, but it's like, I'm going to miss prime Chris Jericho highlights. I'm not necessarily going to miss Big Show highlights, but it's like, Arn Anderson's now wiped off the face of the earth. Paul Roma's the greatest horseman of all time. So I think that's part of it, why it's so challenging. And now that Warrior is welcomed back in, fans can know who he is again, as opposed to just that self-destruction DVD, which is an awesome burial job. I mean, WWE, the fact that Linda never got elected to office when they had that propaganda machine is insane.
Robert, you can watch AEW and see Chris Jericho prime rib highlights every week.
We'll get to Dynamite and Sizzle later on. We also talked about how great his theme music is, right? We said that
great theme. I mean, looked probably cooler than like almost anybody, right?
Who do you think had a better body, Scott, him or Luger?
Him.
I don't know, man.
Deeper tan.
I mean, I would say, in some ways, Luger's, in the sense that he was able to go more. So maybe conditioning wise, like if I had to be in maybe it was impossible to be in the Ultimate Warrior's body.
No, we're talking about like what looked cooler. I mean, Ultimate Warrior just looks cooler than, Luger's colors are like the American flag colors.
Yeah, I was just talking purely body, but as gear wise, he blows him out of the wall.
Yeah, he's just like one of the greats in terms of visually stimulating. And I just mean like, oh, cool, not like, oh, hot,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Scott's, you guys can't see this, but Scott's furiously masturbating right now.
And I mean, you look at it, right? It's like Austin still gets over without the glass shattering. I think a lot of guys still get over without their music, but the Warrior is the music. It's like, if you don't have that, like, and I am the biggest mark, I don't know what you have. To be
honest. Does Val Venus get over without the music?
No, that music is fucking amazing.
It is really
so
good.
Underrated.
All right, folks, you guys ready to roast Ultimate Warrior?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Zach. Spin the wheel, make the deal, brother.
Robert.
Whoa.
Didn't see that coming. All right. The Ultimate Warrior character is based on a shaman chief, making him the worst thing to happen to Native Americans since smallpox blankets. The Ultimate Warrior is the most universally hated wrestler of all time. And this is a list that includes people who murdered their families. Yeah, what Benoit did to his family was bad, but Warrior, now that guy's a dick. Warrior wrestled as Blade Warrior Rock. Blade Warrior Rock was what Dan St. Germain used to call cocaine. Ultimate Ultimate Warrior injured Bobby Heenan, which is why he always thought people said he had brain damage. That wasn't it. It's because he sounded like an incoherent fucking moron whenever he talks. Ultimate Warrior was known for a sudden burst of energy before blowing himself up and finishing quickly. Despite that, he still had 2 children. Dana, the power of the warrior is inside you. And I'm done. The most impressive thing about Warrior is that he was able to even have kids after all those steroids. His balls were about as useless as his opinions on minorities. If you were a Warrior fan, you were one of his little warriors. And chances are you grew up to storm the Capitol. Ultimate Warrior famously vomited during his feud with Papa Shango, an involuntary reaction when he found that he had to wrestle a black guy. Later in life, Ultimate Warrior started to look like Ben Stiller in Dodgeball, which only upset him because he'd never want to be mistaken for a Jew. During a speech at a college, Warrior told an Iranian student to get a towel because Warrior still wasn't over losing to Sergeant Slaughter. The Ultimate Warrior is the most homophobic man to ever wear tassels in public. He famously said that queering don't make the world work because he thinks the only thing that should go in your ass is a needle. Interestingly enough, Warrior's ex-wife claimed he used to cheat on her in homosexual relationships. Apparently, he enjoyed taking it in parts unknown. Warrior said that New Orleans deserved Katrina because the city was a pornographic cesspool of decadence and depravity, which is also why it's hosted 2 WrestleManias. The WWE created a Warrior Award in his honor to recognize people who demonstrate unwavering strength and perseverance. That's it. That's the joke. This racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, selfish, hypocritical, hate-spewing lunatic will forever be the symbol of strength and courage for the WWE. Kind of makes me wish the original Warrior didn't die and get replaced by this asshole. That's it.
Robert Karpeles, everybody. Robert Karpeles.
Dan.
Here we go, folks. The roast of the Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior looks like what would happen if Blanca fucked Tan Mom. He was known as Blade Runner Rock, Dingo Warrior, Jim Justice, The Ultimate, The Warrior, and Exhibit A in United States versus McMahon. Ultimate Warrior sounds like what a pastor calls a Christian in college who takes a virginity pledge. Scientists say the Ultimate Warrior first formed from the beads of sweat off Mel Gibson's dad's forehead when he entered a synagogue. He was the most colorful WWE superstar to regularly use the word colored. Even though Warrior blew up fast, we fucked that up. Warrior blew up faster in the ring than the bombs his fans left at abortion clinics.
Wait. How amazing Dan blowing up during the Warrior blows up joke. Yes.
How amazing Dan's joke being aborted halfway through.
His favorite movie is Passion of the Christ, which makes sense because they were both terrible at selling. His final match was only broadcast in Spanish, which is what he was trying to warn us about. Damn it! I gotta hand it to the Warrior. Usually, if you fuck Vince that hard, he either cuts you off or congrats on winning the WWE Diva Search. Hellwig in the Angry Inch is what the coroner called his dick after years of steroids. His finishing move was the Gorilla Press Slam, which is also how Warrior describes an inner city poetry contest. For a while, I thought Parts Unknown was what Goldust called his pussy. Linda Hogan wanted to fuck Warrior to see if the tassels matched the drapes. He looks like what happens when gas station employees go home for the night and the art on all the t-shirts comes to life. He's what Trump thinks he looks like when he fucks. In the Warrior comic book, he rapes Santa Claus. Jesus, I wonder why that one wasn't a hit with the kids, Jim. It's not gay if he didn't want it. And finally, after years of character assassination, bitter disputes about money, and public burials, the WWE let the Ultimate Warrior into the Hall of Fame, proving to all the doubters that yes, Macho bangs Steph. That's it for me, folks.
Scott.
All right. Ultimate Warrior, or as I like to call him, Rod Stewart, if the urban legend was true. He was the hottest act to mix war paint with gay culture since that Indian from the Village People. He's also the Native Americans the Pilgrims would have saw if they landed on Fire Island. It really is like he hates gay people because they stole his gimmick or something. It's like the one wrestling thing about him. Being gay is unnatural, he said, as the steroid needle pierced through his spray tan skin. He looks like if Fabio pretended to get pussy. I know what they look like. Sure, man. I don't think you dress like that if you get pussy. It's he wasn't painting his face. He was eating paint chips. The guy looks like a mad scientist who doesn't believe in science. He answers the question, what if Tarzan was raised by the apes that started AIDS? Dude, the guy said, he said he was glad Heath Ledger died. Yeah, way to blow the cover, Batman. His name is legally Warrior. Yes, he's so loud, even his signature has an echo. Just because it takes someone saying your name twice to snap you out of a trance doesn't mean you mean that's your name. I wrote that like shit. Oh my God, here's a bad one. Warrior shtick made a lot of money despite his promos making no sense. CENTS, guys. He's the nunchucks of wrestling. He looks awesome, but makes no fucking sense in any real way. Warrior's promos were incoherent, the wrestler said incoherently in his motel shoot interview. He was selfish and didn't love the business, said the man who only loved the business and nothing else. He died of a heart attack. The heart does claim it was self-defense, though. His promo voice is Ace Ventura's ass. I must ask you. Okay, yeah, you know. Oh, man, let's see. He claimed to have not done drugs. Also, he hates drugs. So, like, he's just getting high off of high blood pressure. And finally, Bret Hart said in his book that Warrior bailed on a Make-A-Wish kid that he gladly met. No, Bret, it's Make-A-Wish, not Meet a Nightmare. That's it.
Scott Chaplin, everybody. Scott Chaplin was great.
You know, I'd be able to beat that cancer.
You know, he did take some pride in
the Warrior, the man that proves how much better Tom McGee's career would have been with face paint and a great theme song. The Ultimate Warrior is from parts unknown, which is also what he called trans people. The Ultimate Warrior is my favorite wrestler, so this is hard for me. My jokes are going to be as half-hearted as he was the weekend of the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God.
He was jealous Hogan was a bigger star, but honestly, racism has always been more popular than homophobia. You can tell he really hated gay people since insulting them was the only time he ever spoke in clear sentences. I am going to crush the cockpit. Queering don't make the world work. I love this promos because he practiced all of them in the same mirror he snorted cocaine off of. If you were a kid in the 80s, you either love Warrior or Hogan, but then as you get older, you think, you know, I'm actually a Randy Savage guy. He treated everyone equally except the wife he shoved in a locker. He is the best wrestler that only knew two moves that didn't concuss Bret Hart. He accomplished a lot for a guy that looked like a He-Man action figure of Henry Winkler. As a Jew, it was nice to see someone come to the ring more gassed than most of my family members.
Oh, Jesus.
He said the Ultimate Warrior would live forever and then died the next day. And people say Hogan's a liar. He shows up at the Hall of Fame, does a speech on Raw, and then immediately dies. It was such a good finish. I wouldn't be surprised if Pat Patterson walked him through that one too. Because I'm just kidding. He would never talk to Pat Patterson. His tassels were actually made out of rainbow flags he ripped up himself. My favorite moment was WrestleMania 12, where he destroyed Triple H so fast you think he was one of Stephanie's strap-ons. He was left behind by his children and wife Dana Warrior, who sounds like the final boss in a soccer mom video game. He passed, and he wanted the Warrior Award to go to someone that personally inspired him. Like the guy that shut up the club.
You're I know what you said, but you just on the punchline, your Wi-Fi went out, so it sounded like a rap song, like you went too far. Like
oh god. I thought I just bombed really bad.
What was the joke?
He wanted the Warrior Award to go to someone that personally inspired him, like the guy that shot up the Pulse nightclub. That's it.
Glad we went back for that one.
Yeah, that was good. By the way, donate to the Pulse Note Nightclub Foundation. I donate to them once a year. I do. Guys, that was a lot of fun. Ultimate Warrior, we roasted you.
We owned your ass, Warrior. Take that.
What Kenny Omega is to now, the Ultimate Warrior was to 1989.
No,
because we're not going to get as many hate tweets for this as we did about the Kenny Omega episode.
I didn't get any hate tweets.
Oh God, you would have if you would. I posted the clip on Monday, and the vitriol of people like, how dare you? And this is what's wrong with wrestling fans. Like, yes, because we dared to attack the sacred cow that is Kenny Omega. But now that we're back to Warrior, it's going to be sunshine and rainbows again.
Oh yeah, of course. Nobody cares about fucking Warrior, including 90% of WWE. By the way,
I just saw that we all got first class tickets to go to Kentucky. We're all invited to fuck Cornette's wife because that's how good our Kenny Omega roast was.
That's definitely a bus
problem. Is
trip,
Zach's picking the order, so we're in trouble.
That'd be fucking. We'll have to fuck Jim Cornette's wife, and Zach's just in the corner. Roberts. Right. Man, I think that's like we all get a pass in that cheating situation, right? Like it's not real.
No, I mean, if anything, cheating, no.
We had to go to therapy.
No, that's something. That's like a donation you brag about. Yeah,
no. If your wife understands that you do the podcast, she'll understand you have to fuck Cornette's wife.
Dan, I think it's cheating if you fuck them, but it's not if they fuck you.
All right, folks, let's move on to Show and Hell. For this week, we decided to look at Ultimate Warrior's appearance on Arsenio Hall leading up to WrestleMania 6.
I like that. For Show and Hell, we decided to look at Ultimate Warrior's opinions.
Well, we've already looked at, I think it was either on a Total F and Marks, maybe it was on a WrestleRoast, but we did look at the Ultimate Warrior's college speech. There is an A&E special coming out. I taped for there. I'm not going to be in it, but it should be pretty good. And I think they do address some of that stuff. I don't know.
Well, you know what's interesting about that is that like they were like 18-year-old kids in 2005. So even if he wasn't homophobic, it's not like they still would have liked the speech.
Yeah. But although like you could tell there were some people there that like were just kind of like there was a couple guys that were just Warrior fans that were there, that were like, look, I just want him to sign this.
Yeah, there's one person who was booing just because they thought Warrior turned heel. Like it wasn't. They weren't actually mad.
There was one person that was upset that he wasn't warrior enough. Like, I didn't mind the homophobia, but why didn't he shake the ropes afterwards?
Yeah.
I also hate gay people. Can you talk about your feud with Dino Bravo?
Yeah, it's a guy pretending to be homophobic.
Just to talk to him.
Yeah. It makes me sick when they kiss too. What was it like feuding with Macho Man and ending his career?
So do you still have the weasel suit that Bobby Heenan wore?
What university was bringing him in, by the way, as an illustrious guest speaker?
I think it was UConn.
Jeez.
Which
I feel like they did that on a dare.
I mean, they have a good women's basketball program, right?
Yeah,
all right.
It was Scott that said the fact that he legally changed his name so that he could own the copyright is fucking badass.
That makes me, that's my favorite thing. I was going to mention that during Brightside, but just as a lawyer, for someone to be like, "Oh, you own the intellectual property? Cool. I'm going to change my name and force my wife and children now to have to go by Warrior." How long until she legally changes it to something better? Because I feel bad for his kids.
What, like Bravo?
Maybe Laurinaitis. He seems to swoop in there.
Hey, you like wrestlers?
Well, let's get back to. Oh, and by the way, we're going to be again roasting Jerry the King Lawler next week, and for next week's show and hell, we're going to be doing Eddie Gilbert's famous promo about Jerry the King Lawler.
This is Doug Gilbert.
Doug Gilbert.
Doug Gilbert. Sorry, not Eddie Gilbert. Sorry.
Doug Gilbert.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck that one up, I guess. But yeah, check it out. It's one of the wildest promos.
Hey, I have
it's
a
probably the
question.
wildest promos.
Are there
Missy
any?
Hyatt made that mistake too, but mixing it up between Eddie and Doug.
Was Doug Gilbert any good? No, right?
I don't think so. But
has there
I
ever
don't
been
know.
a good Doug in wrestling?
I mean, he cut one great promo that we're going to talk about next week.
Hold on, Scott. Doug Furnace was pretty good.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Furnace and
I
LaFont.
don't know,
They've got a bunch.
You're really reaching.
He's pretty good. He was one of those like wrestlers kind of thing. Furnace and LaFont were in the WWF at a time where they shouldn't have been, but where they wrestled elsewhere, they were good.
They're a real NWA power act.
Yeah, Doug Furnace, last name comes from the place where Stu Hart assaulted children.
All right, folks. Let's get to show and hell. Ultimate Warrior is on Arsenio Hall. I actually love this, man. There's a point where you think, like when Ultimate Warrior comes and sits down with Arsenio Hall, he grabs Arsenio's hand, and you really think they're about to dance because they kind of do like a move where he like spins. But yeah, man, this is more of like a testament to. I thought Warrior actually was pretty good in this and kind of got what was going on, which like a lot of the times Hogan doesn't, like. But like part of the reason he got what was doing on is like Arsenio was the ultimate ball player, man. Like if you want to see like a guy being professional, Arsenio Hall interviews Jason and has to like act scared and shit. He's like what every single like film and TV shows publicist wants like during a press tour is Arsenio Hall. But yeah, so that's basically all the nice things I guess. But anyway, it's just a dumb fucking interview. But
I mean, unless you're Vanilla Ice, have you ever seen that interview? Yikes.
No, what did he just tell him like for like trying to steal black culture or something?
Yeah, like he came out with Flava Flav.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and I think that's what it was. And Arsenio was like, "You guys aren't even friends. Did you just do that to seem cool?" He like just calls him out for it.
Well, yeah, and then he was pretty rough with like the gay rights activists too. But besides that, he was really good with.
I mean, that's a more nuanced thing. I mean, that was a more nuanced thing where it's like he was like, "No, I have gay people on all the time. I just can't say they are."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they would have had to say it
because they were heckling him. They were like interrupting the show and stuff.
Yes, it was during that it was during like How to Stop a Plague time, right? Like that was a great documentary on HBO about it. All right.
Thanks for tuning in for the roast of Arsenio Hall. This is
Look, I'm giving you guys the AIDS fight facts today.
Guys, this is the Ultimate Warrior episode. This is how to restart the plague.
I'm guys giving you guys my freedom of speech arguments. This is just me slow rolling trying to get on Rogan's podcast.
This is Dan watching too many Warrior interviews.
That guy made a lot of sense. Yeah.
All right. What did you
I
guys
watched
think
this. I'll talk about this clip. I thought this was awesome.
Mike?
And Mike's internet died.
No, wait, Mike, say it again. Say it again.
Oh, I was gonna say, this clip was awesome. Arsenio and Regis were the best at this stuff.
Yes, Regis was great too. I forgot about him.
Not counting Kathy Lee, who always seemed mortified by it, but
well, most likely beforehand, like it was like Jake showing Kathy Lee his dick or something. You know, I mean, there was more to that story that we didn't know.
Yeah, or like being upset that like Frank didn't help them get into the NFL or something. But yeah, no, this was awesome. This was like the week of WrestleMania 6. This is like peak Warrior. He runs out. He comes off fucking like a star. And this was like 5 minutes. This is like, I love that like they even knew that he would get gassed in an interview, so they kept the interview short. But this is like a different era when, you know, now they want everyone to be media savvy in WWE and they all come off the same. But like back then they were like in character, kayfabe, and fucking felt like stars.
Yeah, I mean, it was. That show was like kind of ahead of its time. Although they tried to bring it back, I guess it didn't work that great.
I don't know. I didn't care for this. I think my issue with it was I'm very protective of wrestling. I think that's part of what it is. And anytime wrestling, especially then or somewhat later, was in the mainstream,
you know, you're protective of wrestling because you just complimented Doug Furness.
I was trying to think of the best Doug. I mean, I'm not saying he's the best wrestler. It's like you give me a limited, pool of guys. It's like, who are the best guys from Cleveland? I'm like, oh, it's got to be the Miz. Like, I'm not saying the Miz is the best ever, but
no, you heard it. Robert just said Miz is the best ever.
I like Miz. If I had a roster of Miz's, I'd be very happy. Anyway, what annoyed me about this is wrestling didn't have that kind of exposure a lot, and when it would be in the mainstream, people that didn't know what wrestling is would think, oh, this is what wrestling is, and it's stupid. Warrior went out there and did his Warrior shtick. And when you're in an arena full of people who are in on it or all on board, it's awesome. When you're on a talk show and he's like, Hulk Hogan, you will pay. It's like you sound like an idiot and the audience is laughing at you. And then anybody who likes wrestling must be an idiot because they like it.
Robert, I gotta disagree with you here because the other alternative was Jim being Jim, and I think that would have maybe canceled WrestleMania.
Right, but I think that there are certain times, like Conan would do this sometimes, where they would have a wrestler on in character for a bit. They wouldn't be there to do a sit-down interview where it was like, you don't interview the guy. You have Warrior come out there and bench press the couch and then, yell for 30 seconds and he's gone. You don't treat it like this is a sit-down interview with a character and he comes across like a goofy idiot. And it's like, I can picture people watching this and thinking, all right, wrestling is dumb, and if you watch it, you must be dumb. It's why I always liked when they had wrestlers that were savvy about media and they would go on a regular show, like when The Rock went on Saturday Night Live and he didn't fall over himself, and they were like, wow, he's really talented. Maybe there's something to this, and these guys have more depth than just the character that's on there, and it elevates the product versus what Warrior did here, which was just Arsenio reacting and trying to play it cool, which was funny, but it made Warrior look like a goof when he's going into the main event of WrestleMania.
I wonder though, like if maybe they had a pre-interview where like Arsenio's like, hey Jim, why don't you just be yourself? And then Jim's like, all right, I just want to compliment you on being able to get out of the ghetto and make something of yourself, unlike your brothers and sisters. It's like, do the character, Jim. Do the character. What did you think of this, Scott?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, again, I didn't grow up on Arsenio either, but I did watch a lot of like clips of Arsenio when I could. I always think it's a really fun show, and yeah, I thought this was fun and stupid. I mean, Robert does make a point in a sense. It's definitely embarrassing, but like luckily from the clips I've seen of Arsenio, like there's only ever been 2 people on there that weren't embarrassing. So. It's like everybody kind of ran amok. It's kind of like, it is a bit much.
It's like somewhere in between a late night show and like a Saturday morning cartoon show.
Yeah.
But it's like, he had 5 minutes to sell the pay-per-view, and I thought he did, because for every person that's like, this is embarrassing, there's that kid. This is fucking cool.
Yeah. And also, it's like, what are you? I mean, he can't like be like Beast. He can't, have glasses on and speak intelligently on the psychology of how he's approaching Mania. So it's just like, yeah, scream.
Why, thank you, Arsenio. I appreciate you enjoying the theatrics between me and Mr. Hulk Terrible Hogan.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Dynamite or Fizzle, where we review.
Queering does make the world work.
where we review this past week's edition of Dynamite, and this was a huge edition of Dynamite, Blood and Guts. The second hour was Blood and Guts, which we'll get to, but the first hour was. Let me just give you a quick recap.
Pre-taped and powerful.
Yeah, Mox and Kingston versus Knock and Omega. Darby gets thrown down some stairs by All Ego Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall with a Anthony Ogogo post-match run-in. Britt Baker in action against some jabroni. The tag team eliminator four-way with the Varsity Blondes, Jurassic Express, SCU, and the Acclaimed SCU going over. And the Double or Nothing Championship announcement, which wasn't pre-taped, that was right before our Blood and Guts match, where we saw a little back and forth between Kenny Omega and Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy will be fighting Pac next week to determine who fights Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing. What did you guys think about this first hour? Let's start with Robert.
There was some good, there was some bad, and there was some QT. I think the Moxley and Eddie Kingston storyline thing was fine. It was exactly how they needed to play it for that moment. The QT Marshall Cody Rhodes match, if nothing else, if you're portraying this as live, when Cody pulled down QT's trunks and it was blurred, that was a big flashing sign of this was pre-tape, but they still had the live bug in the top corner, which is annoying. And I'm not saying,
by the way, we're not criticizing you for blurring QT's
yeah,
ass.
No. Nobody needed to see that. Just like nobody needed to see QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes in a straight up wrestling match. But that whole match was really strange, and I'm hoping this is the end of the feud, and they can now transition to that Agogo guy and Cody, which is infinitely better. Doing a straight match with QT and Cody, where Cody does like the back rake, which Jim Ross has already said on his podcast is the dumbest move and he hates it. And it's only done by people who have no talent, which is why Hogan would do it. And then they busted out here. It was really weird. The four-way tag match was a foregone conclusion because we knew it was going to be SCU, even though Scott pitched that it should have been the Young Bucks costing them the match, and it didn't happen. The highlight of that match was the Acclaimed in their rap, who these guys are baby faces and they just don't know it yet. When they talked about how the Varsity Blondes were going to wind up on Dark Side of the Ring someday was fucking fantastic. I love the Yuji Nagata, John Moxley video package. I thought that was really well done. Not knowing the story fully and then completely understanding it. Like I always get on AEW for not doing it. They did it. It was great. Omega talking about how it's Pac versus Orange Cassidy. He got me really excited to see him versus Pac. And then Orange Cassidy came out. And then of course my wife walked in and that promo went on and on and on. And she's just like, do they not know they're still on camera? Like, can Tony not cut them off? And I'm like, I don't know. This can't get worse. And then Miro came out and cut a promo, and it was basically the same thing. They got to get better at those live promos.
God, what did you think of this hour?
I like the first hour. Okay, so the Cody QT thing, right? I liked the Agogo ending. I like that camera shot. It's like the one camera angle they got right. Where he drapes the flag over him. And now next week, Cody is going to make an announcement about what he's doing at Double or Nothing. And there's no way he's just challenging Agogo. So Agogo's background is what? What is his background?
The boxer.
He was an Olympic boxer and then did a Subway ad.
I mean, I'll say on God, because I just shit on a dead man for a half hour. But on God, I think Cody is going to challenge him to a real boxing match, and that's what we're going to get, and it's going to be some awful Logan Paul shit, and I really think he's going to actually box Anthony Ogogo, and
there's no way he's going to get killed if that happens.
Yeah, I think he's a moron. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know this guy's credentials. He's the real deal, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Cody can't just agree to box him. Well, it's going to be something really that we don't enjoy. I don't like that he's making an announcement about it instead of it just happening. it's like every announcement has been like, I bought a new house, and we go, what the fuck? So like, I'm just not looking forward to whatever's going to benefit his life and not mine.
I thought the new Mortal Kombat was better than people are saying.
Yeah.
That's a lie, and you know it, Mike. That movie was fucking brutal.
Man, I enjoyed it.
Mike, what do you think? What did you think about the whole QT? First off, what do you think about? I want to ask this about. I want to ask this to Scott. Like the tombstone reversal sequence between QT and Cody in that match. I was like, do these guys think they're Okada and Omega? Like,
no, brother, it's HBK Taker, and it felt like that for a moment.
That's why QT is great. QT makes wrestling look so hard. Like he makes it look legitimate. Like every time he tries to lift Cody up, it's the hardest thing you've ever seen somebody do in their life. So he's either defending kayfabe to no end, or he's the worst wrestler ever. And shout out to whoever pointed out that sign in the crowd that was QT's real fan. And somebody's like, no, that's Robert. I'm like, you're goddamn right, it is.
I think it said OnlyFan.
Oh, it was OnlyFan. No,
which when he saw QT's ass, and made me think about him being on OnlyFan.
QTNA Marshall.
I like the tag match. Okay, the Darby thing.
I actually dug that.
What an awesome spot. I mean, to fall down those steps like that. Yeah, that was really badass. Dude, the Scorpio Sky line, I didn't get it at first when he did the Riddler.
Batman
he was
thing?
like, riddle me
That's
this,
literally
riddle
from
me that.
Batman Forever.
Yeah, Jim Carrey. Yeah, and
and by the way, how great is it that Ethan Page clearly listens to this show and he's like, "You and I feuded, but nobody cares about shit that happened that nobody actually saw."
He's been growing on me, man. I thought he was really good in this segment.
I thought Ethan Page was very good, and now you have Miro. I mean, I guess we'll get to that promo, or if we're talking about it now, but Miro's going to challenge Darby next week and obviously beat him, right? So
what is it just going to be like the Brody Cody fight again? You think it's just going to be like a massacre?
Yeah, but the only difference is, was Cody hurt during that? No, right?
No, but it was a similar story where it's like, the hurt thing wasn't happening, but it's, it's the same story they've been telling with the TNT title. It's the workhorse title, and eventually, the horse has to get put down.
Yeah, well, you got to put the title on Miro, so at Double or Nothing, he has an open challenge, and Joe comes out and they brawl. And other lies I tell myself to keep watching.
No, Scott, you gotta think this more logically and sad, which is going to be Miro's going to beat Darby because Darby got thrown downstairs, and then Miro's going to keep beating him up. So Sting's going to try to make the save, and that's not going to work. So Lance Archer's going to come out, and we'll wind up getting Archer and Miro at Double or Nothing. It's almost like I know what I'm doing sometimes, but that's probably where they're going.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I think that would be the more interesting match and elevate the TNT title.
Well, I'm just glad Lana is not at the company, so she doesn't have to interact with Jake.
I was gonna say QT and Cody is Undertaker and Michaels if they're both the cameraman who didn't catch Taker. It's hard with
did Cody just blade out of nowhere in that match?
No, I think that was an accident. Because
it was so weird.
Dude, because especially on a show like this, you go, there's no way Jericho wants anybody to bleed tonight besides anybody in that match. I think it was an accident.
But to your point, Scott, the Darby stair tumble was by far more brutal than anything in the main event. Like, in terms of like pacing and agents talking to each other, like you even had two shitty berets in different segments. Like the Young Bucks came out with a shitty beret, and then Go-Go came out with a shitty beret. It's
yeah, but he just is British and thinks that looks looks good.
They're learning from their lessons. Now they know to put Darby in a fat suit and let him walk out to Judas, and you could push him in the bumper.
What better segue for our hour two blood and guts than
Dan, I didn't really talk about that.
Sorry, Mike.
That's all right, man. The opening, it was fine. I mean, Kingston is the best promo, and he's wrestling more than promoing, which is not good because his wrestling outfit
looks good in the match.
Kingston not cutting promos is a terrible idea. He needs to be cutting promos. That's what he's good at. when he wrestles, he looks like a guy who gets a cannonball shot at him at a carnival. There's just nothing spectacular without story and promo with that guy. So it was fine. I mean, the tag thing was a jumbled mess to me. I mean, I watched the first hour of Dark Side, and God, like, if you're going to get anything from your dad, could it be his charisma? Because he don't have it.
Oh, you don't think he has charisma? I think he has charisma.
Not in the ring. I mean,
sure. Well, yeah, I think he has charisma.
I mean, but like Brian Pillman was like a once in a lifetime with the loose cannon and all that. This guy's in a throwaway tag team that's mostly on YouTube.
Oh, there's time, baby.
There's time.
He's a young man.
I'll defend Pillman Jr. in that he's a shitty baby face, but he's a great heel. When we first had him in MLW as a baby face. Oh, I know. I'm just saying. He's a guy who's miscast right now. When he's a Weasley heel, he's fantastic. As a shining baby face, he ain't his dad.
Look, if you're gonna look, guys, if you're gonna shit on anybody in the Pillman family, please be the wife that is still alive.
Melanie, yeah,
that was brutal.
Oh God, yeah. Talk about the anti-Martha.
Oh my God, yeah, it's like.
Why did you say that name? Sorry.
As far as wrestling widows, they're like the Schwarzenegger and DeVito and twins,
How was that not a reality show on A&E?
Sure, wrestling widows. That would be the worst. Can you imagine?
Wrestling widows, they're all like 32.
They're hotter than the Real Housewives by like a million. All right, let's get to our.
I wanted to just absolutely. I asked our fans last night, our roast to the top universe. Definitely need a better name. We'll come up with one. But I asked the Twitterverse, what should the stipulation be if QT and Cody have a blow-off match at Double or Nothing? So I'd like to read some of those answers.
First off, I was really scared. Before you read those, I was really scared because I had seen that before I'd watched the match. So I was really scared that it was like a non-decisive finish and that we were going to see this match at Double or Nothing. So I just want to thank the universe that we're probably not going to see this match.
Well, that would be bad booking. So there's chances we are. We have from Fat Nuts 5, loser stays in town, stuck in Jacksonville forever at Daly's pace, becomes the janitor or sells hot dogs. At Chat Mannequin says an emptying arena match. At Huskers 88 says the winner gets to play Chris Benoit in a remake of Family Ties. The Bird 88 says loser has to watch QT Marshall matches. Actually, that would actually help QT, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I look like.
Dotes McGoat says flag match. Just imagine the QT Anon logo waving in the breeze. Then the loser gets adopted by Billy Gunn. At Chum1AK, a loser asks JR what's wrong with wrestling and listens silently match. Ken Hanley says hair versus plugs match. At ND Hockey Band says go to sleep match.
Excellent.
Let's see here. We got if QT wins, he gets a shot at the women's title. That's from Mini Transit Antonio Top. At Belly Float says 3 stages of hell, which is just 3 more Cody versus QT matches. At McCoy1108 says a last man watching match.
Shit.
At the Giant Cassette says winner raises Brandy's child. At Bertlin19 just says board games. And this is my favorite one. At Don Hashi says loser has to roast New Jack to his face.
Oh man,
this one I forgot. At me KIPWI, loser has to double date with Chris Jericho and his wife at a Black Lives Matter protest.
That's kind of like a fun thing to watch,
I just want to say we got some funny fucking fans, everybody for participating, and we'll keep games like that going and stuff. It's fun.
Look, we have the best fans in the world, and it's the best wrestling podcast in the world, and you can quote me, folks. All right?
Yeah, fuck you, Jeff Jarrett, Kurt Angle.
All right, let's get to this. We haven't even covered the second hour yet, guys. Hour 2, the actual blood and guts match. I guess I'll start off by saying, man, let's just put a moratorium on crash pad spots for a while, guys. Like, I'm totally fine with using crash pad spot. And I get, like, I don't want to hear the fucking argument of, like, what do you want him to get hurt? I'm like, well, no, I don't want him to get hurt. But for instance, like him just putting him in the salt of the earth for longer, or like putting it in with like a barbed wire gimmick with it, like that would have made more sense to me than the, I'm going to throw this guy off the bridge and let's scream back and forth thing. So yeah, I was not a fan of that. And this was about the first hour of the QT Cody thing. Scott made me laugh so hard with this QT act out. At some point, he's got to bring it up as far as like how QT would get heat for a match with Cody. I don't know if I've laughed harder than that.
Oh no, I was like scrambling my brain about how a couple weeks ago QT got on that goddamn bus, Cody's bus, and they never explained it and what he did on the bus. And so I was hoping this week, instead of a match, you could just continue the feud by QT saying, hey, this is what I was doing on the bus. And they show like on the Tron, like video footage of him sneaking into the bus and Brandy is sleeping in the bed, and Cody's like, no, you son of a bitch. No. And QT puts down the camera and creeps up to the bed. And he's like, you son of a bitch. There's no way. And then QT fucks the dog. And then Cody's like, you fucked my dog? And he's like, you're goddamn right. And it's like, what? And he's like, owned. That's
he's not good at getting heat, but he's good at getting a dog in heat.
So then I said that. I texted that, right? Dude, I'm not lying. An hour later, Brandy Rhodes Instagrams a photo of her dog in a cast. It broke its arm. So what happened, bro. This is all I'm saying.
Fair owned.
Oh, that fucking
my wrestling conspiracy.
Dog was forced to suck QT Marshall's dick.
I can't believe it.
All right, well, let's get to this. And the other thing I want to say, which I'm sure Scott's going to bring up too, but look, man, I understand if you have to wear like a jumpsuit because you've eaten one too many mini muffins on the Jericho cruise, but holy good God, like you should not be making the rest of your team also wear that gimmick. I mean, Sammy's got a great body. Why are you hiding it with some sort of Men at Work outfit? Give me a break.
I mean, also, why are you wearing penitentiary outfits after Tyson's teamed up with you?
Next, when he gets fatter, he's gonna be like, "Okay, we're each Ninja Turtles," and there's just giant shells around their stomachs.
It's like they're all
man. I'm a Jericho apologist. This last night it was tough, man. He was just when you see him with like 9 other guys, and he's moving so much slower than even the big guys. It's like, I don't know, man. It's getting close to the end, buddy. But I overall like this match. I'm a big Sammy Guevara guy, and I thought he looked like a star in this. I thought he was one of the highlights of this match. I love him as the inner circle lackey, like the guy who was like, put me in there first. And, I thought, yeah, the ending sucked. And I agree with you, Dan. I fucking hate the argument that, oh, so you want people to get hurt. Oh, so you were against Matt Hardy, but now you're against this. It's like the camera angle sucked. It was clearly cardboard. To think it was metal and concrete. It's like, no, just don't insult my intelligence. Like, there's other ways to do it.
Or use black cardboard, like paint the cardboard fucking black, for Christ's sake.
It was like these weird small like instead of one long sheet and letting that just kind of break in itself, it was like a bunch of tiny rectangles. Again, this is supposed to be the stage.
It's also, I mean, I said it. We already saw a guy fall downstairs, which looked way more fucking painful.
Because it was way more painful.
It's the fact that, like, between this, because you can't bring this up without the exploding barbed wire death match. It's like these guys really are fucking working hard, and they're putting in a great effort. I thought the storytelling here was really good, but yeah, if the end sucks, then that's what people are going to remember. These are 2 first-time matches in the company, and you kind of have to fucking nail them.
And there's no way, and I know dude, I love AEW so much. I loved this show last night. I thought it was fun. I watched it twice, and I thought it was cool. I mean, I'll talk about my issues, but just like I don't know, just glaring shit. Be honest about your errors, like, because I don't know. He's gonna recover in 2 weeks because of this, or like does he show up next week and act like, does he have an excuse like Omega had an excuse? You can't do that, right? Like, you can't say the ground just was fortunately enough quicksand right there. Like, you can't do the wiring was off thing. So it's just like, please go away for a while, but then you have this weird Double or Nothing is in like 2 weeks, and so you need Jericho there. So it's like, that's why it's bad to me. It's like, dude, I haven't seen a high spot aside from someone getting actually hurt. They all look like shit, man. There's no Shane McMahon high spot in the last 15 years that looks good. They all look very bad. I will like forgive you on that looking bad. I'm not going to forgive you on me not being emotionally connected for some reason the last 2 minutes. And like, I know the art department's getting some shit, and maybe I'll get some shit for saying this, but MJF made a mistake up there where he didn't like walk away from Jericho and celebrate up there after he won. He still just remained with Jericho as if he was about to throw him. It's like, give us the impression that the idea is I'll throw him unless you quit. And so they quit. And then it's like, act like you won and it's good, and then throw him. But he just acted like he was going to throw him the whole time. So then it just comes off super hesitant and awkward. Then you get a camera shot of Jericho talking to him. And it's like, if you're scared to do the spot, don't do the spot. And it was just like, that's why I didn't like it. It's the fact that on paper, this fucking rules. Dude, on paper, this show is the coolest. And then the execution is like, it's just unfortunately a dud because of these errors that, I don't know.
Well, the 2 other things is, unfortunate that was, Tully coming out during picture-in-picture, Wardlow coming out.
Commercial breaks killed this fucking match.
It really did. And I know that they're a necessary evil, but they could have picked better spots, I think. Yeah. And it's just that feeling that when you have MJF and Jericho up there for the last 5 minutes and we never see the other 8 guys, when the whole thing is anyone could submit or surrender at any time, it's like, but they're not even in the equation anymore. It's just fucking stupid to me.
All right, so I took some notes on this because I've been waiting to break this thing down here, because I'm trying to be as even-handed as possible. I've put together a War Games match before when I was in MLW. I know how involved it is, how tough it is, how difficult it is to construct the ring, get guys comfortable with working in 2 rings and laying out who comes in where. And I think that the laying out who came in where that they did here was absolutely perfect. Sammy going in there first with Dax getting color, immediately establishing that this is a dangerous match because Sammy cut his arm. There's bleeding coming from Dax's head. Sean Spears coming in with the chair was cool for a second until he brought back chair shots to the head, which is like, you don't need that. It doesn't need to exist anymore in wrestling. It doesn't add to the product at all. They bring in Ortiz, they bring in Wheeler. You've got Santana, so you've got the tag teams going at it.
Hey, shout out to the Dead Presidents look. That was awesome.
Dead Presidents look was awesome, except Shivani bringing it up was the least authentic moment in wrestling history. He's like, obviously, that's the Dead Presidents. Like, sure, Tony. Wardlow's big entrance during the commercial break sucked because you didn't get it. The fact that they set up like the Chekhov's gun of the only 2 keys are with the referees, and then Tully gets the key during the commercial break and unlocks it because you didn't see it. Mike, I know commercials are a necessary evil, except you have State Farm, who has deep pockets. They should have just been the sponsor of this. There should have never been a commercial break, and that should have been it. There should absolutely have never been a commercial break after they went to the final 5-on-5. Once that happens, you lock it there, you time it, you stay there until the end. The ring padding thing, yes, it sucked. It was their overcorrection because of the Matt Hardy thing. You fix it with a camera angle. They needed the fact that somebody tweeted out a picture of the war game structure during the day, and you saw everybody in the ring working it out beforehand. This was one of like the press people or something they let in, and the guy still put this on social media before the show. It was like, here's the cage for tonight, and what do you see inside? The guys from both teams in regular street gear working through this. They should have worked the spot. They should have worked the camera angle so you don't have this happen. It's a professional television show. Andrew Goldstein made that point on here. You're on TNT. You can't keep making these fuck ups.
Testify.
The why they quit. It should have been Jericho. It should have been Jericho's moment of toughness, which is, fuck it, throw me off the cage. I'm willing to die for this match and for my team. Not all of my guys now look like pussies because you're like, please, Mr. MJF, don't do this. I thought Max on the top of the cage looked like a badass. The bleeding, he was selling, he was a coward, but then he overcame Jericho. He outsmarted him. He looked like a dastardly heel. And then the weird minor nitpick for me is it's blood and guts, but they were basically like continuity wise. No, this is War Games. Remember when you called the first Blood and Guts that happened in the Omni? So basically I can just make Star Wars Episode 10, call it Space Fight, and then just have all the same characters.
Dude, but in AEW's defense, someone should make Space Fight.
Someone should make Space Fight, but they don't own the rights to, they don't own the intellectual property rights to War Games, which the story on that is kind of funny because WWE didn't renew the trademark on it, and MLW actually owned the trademark to War Games, which is why we did a War Games. And then WWE tried to send us a cease and desist, and we're like, no, motherfuckers, we own the trademark to War Games. And then we ultimately came up with a deal to give it back to him, which is why War Games was able to happen. But
what did MLW get for that?
I can't disclose that information, but it was one night with Stephanie, and it was really not that good.
Robert, I'm going to say I'm okay with it because it is about history. It is Cody's fucking dad that did it. It's like, and those guys did call those matches. I mean, what else are they supposed to do?
No,
I think it would be.
I get it, but that history is technically owned by WWE because it's
fair,
their
but I think
intellectual
it would
property.
be more insulting to the intelligence if they acted like this was the first time they ever saw this.
I do like modern wrestling fans that are like, oh, they just ripped off NXT War Games and put a roof on it. Like, you fucking idiots. All due respect. But
I'll be nice about the commercials because I don't understand commercials, and I don't know if TNT goes, this is when it happens, and you go, okay, weird. I don't know how any of that works.
No, you time out. When you just
you get to time
Scott,
it out.
Yeah, when you make your show, you time out your commercial breaks. You control your when we would script Raw or SmackDown or anything.
Obviously, this Omega promo was you would hope longer than it was supposed to be. Do you think that's a timing thing with trying to connect with that? And was there an error there that fucked up War Games, or
no? Because you can temper, you build your match to certain spots when you know, all right, we have a commercial break coming up. Let's, you can always tell, especially in WWE, when somebody goes for a rest hold, it's like, oh, clearly going to commercial. The referee has told you, you know when you're back. And you can do stuff during their picture-in-picture, which is fine. But the big spots, the Wardlow coming in, the fact that Tully got the cage unlocked, we come back and it's like Jericho's climbing up the cage. I'm like, did I miss something? Do I need to rewind? It didn't happen. You needed to sell that moment of how dastardly Tully Blanchard is. He attacked Bryce Remsburg. He got the key. I think the disappointing thing is the match overall was laid out well. They all busted their asses in this match. They delivered, but the unfortunate problem that AEW has, which was the WCW problem, is they fuck up one detail and it mars everything. And you had a great match that now all anybody wants to talk about is how stupid the Jericho falling off the cage thing looked. Like Shotzi Blackheart tweeting the gif of her falling backward onto her bed and selling it the same way Jericho did was kind of hilarious. But you guys,
when I saw that, I was like, there's no way. Like, this just reminds me of how they tucked Jericho in every night on the Jericho cruise.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that that's the kill shot for any wrestler when we've seen it hundreds of times. You've seen guys fall off cages. I mean, Shane's done it and then continued to fight.
Yeah, and it's like, Foley did it, and he did it better than anyone, and we saw the aftermath of what happens when that's done to you. So it is like, we're not, I just want to say, we're not asking for wrestlers to hurt themselves over the top ways for entertainment. It's just come up with creative other finishes and stuff. And yeah, I think the Kenny segment and the Miro segment did feel like they were killing time. It was weird because like they were standing next to the cage and cutting promos, so it felt like something was being set up, but the cage was already set up.
I don't mind the cage promos though. I kind of think it's kind of cool. It's like
I think that's cool if like and again I'm like an Omega.
I'm just saying I would have allocated that time for commercial time instead.
You could have burned through the commercial time, and you could have done commercial breaks during the all right, it's 2 minutes until somebody comes in, fine. But when you get to that final moment where at any second somebody can submit or surrender, and now we're going to go to a Burger King commercial, it's like, all right, you kind of lose your audience a little bit because you know that something's not going to happen during the commercial break, and it ruins your suspension of disbelief, because war games were always cool in the you never knew what was going to end it or when it was going to happen because it was going to be something really brutal. And it just felt like, all right, they're going to make you wait until the end, and now we're getting a commercial break. It felt a little too TV-ish. And again, I just feel bad because the guys killed themselves. The blood, which I don't think you always need blood in wrestling, was so well done here. And the guy, I mean, they looked cool with the way that they were bleeding. Everybody had a moment to shine. There were a couple of unfortunate botches, like Sammy landing on his head and clearly like knocking himself senseless was a little uncomfortable. But like there was the moment where Jericho had Shawn Spears up in like the grating and was choking him in it. It was a really cool, intense shot, and they got it really well. And I was like, that could be a moment right there. Or is the story going to be Spears is going to pass out rather than quit? Having them in white so you could see the blood was a cool decision. The janitor suits that they're like, oh, we're prison jump. They look like janitors. And the fact that like each prison is from their hometown made me picture Jake Hager Googling what prison is closest to me and then talking to Words. I was like, guys, I did my homework. Here's
he knows. Come on. He knows.
Oh, he's definitely fucked a girl who's been there for sure.
He's definitely, yeah. I mean, I think he's had family reunions at that fucking place.
Again, though, I think it's like on paper, this show makes total sense. I'll even say on paper, Omega versus Cassidy, if that is what happens, is like awesome in rules. But which is better than it's a green company. I mean, it's like a newer company. And so instead of just going like, oh, all of that was awesome because like we should give them a break. They are a green company. You have to at least go like, hey, that looked like shit. Otherwise, it's just going to always look like shit. On paper, this rules. So if they just like fix some issues, they're the best. They're already the best, right?
Scott, all due respect, they are a green company, quote unquote. Their production side is not. They have guys who've been around the industry for decades.
Well, that's weird then. Doing. Okay, yeah, well, I don't know what that's about.
Their actual producers that they have are wrestling. Legends, people who've done this for decades. I've worked with some of these guys. They know what they're doing. That finish could have been cooler if they shot it from a different angle instead of it looking like he was at a discovery zone and went flopping backwards into the ball pit.
Yeah, it looked kind of relaxing.
It looked fun. Like they just have that at the Jericho Cruise. Like as a joke now, they'll set up the cage and let you jump backwards into a foam pit. What if Scott's already getting his money?
What if to correct it, Lance Archer comes out next week and says that Jake Roberts has been squatting under the stage and he landed on his bed and now he's gonna fuck him up for it?
It's also, why do you need all that padding when Jericho brought his own?
All right, folks, let's get to high spot, low spot of the week, where we talk about one thing we really loved about wrestling this week, one thing that we did not love. My high spot, I'm going to say two. The Brian Pillman documentary, Dark Side of the Ring, is fantastic. Shout out to Evan and Andrew and everybody over there. And it was really nice to see Candice LeRae win a title in NXT. And I thought the match was good, but I was just more excited for her just because, I mean, I just think she's been fantastic ever since she came to that brand. So it was just great to see them, you know, and I know that makes me a mark, then I'm a title guy, but you know, deal with it.
How dare you like wrestling?
Yeah. My low spot this week was without a doubt my wife watching me do the Monday Night Raw Patreon by myself. Especially because she decided to tune in during the part where I was describing Angel Garza putting a flower up Drew Gulag's ass. I also really hated the there was like something straight out of like the Attitude Era where like Austin Theory's like made like a tits joke to Scarlett Bordeaux, and then now that's set up a match next week, and I'm like, well, this is just kind of silly. This doesn't feel like any one of. I mean, it feels like kind of Austin Theory's character, but doesn't feel at all like Karrion Kross and Scarlett, Bordeaux to do that. But all right, that's me. Scott, what was your high spot, low spot this week?
Oh, dude, high spot: Shingo Takagi versus Will Ospreay.
I hear it's amazing.
Oh, dude, it's the best. I loved it so much. Yeah, it's my favorite match this year. Some people are saying it's one of the best matches ever. I don't know about that, but it's
45 minutes and in Japan, so it has to be good.
Well, yeah, and it's 45 minutes, and also it's like a few of the guys in matches that night got COVID, and so they canceled 2 matches. And so they had to go longer than they were going to. And it was still just, dude, I mean, these guys are like, the future of wrestling is insane if Will Ospreay is the guy that young guys are now going to learn from.
I think they found a positive to COVID. It's like 2 guys got sick, but instead we got a longer match.
I mean, he is operating on an entirely different level in ring.
Whoa, so I mean, if anybody find a way to watch it, because it's seriously it rules hard. And then my low spot, that ending to Blood and Guts again, not the bump, because whatever, I'm a forgiving person. I mean I guess I'm not forgiving, because my issue is the stalling on top, and it just not feeling like I should care, when again, this is the cool dude, that thank you, bro. Remember when Jericho first came to AEW and the whole thing was, I need my thank you. Everyone needs to thank me. Where's my thank you? It was like, that was like the start of AEW was that. And then finally he gets a thank you from MJF last night. And it's, what a fucking moment. This guy literally pushed the top guy off the top. It's the coolest thing in the world. Oh, but it actually sucks. Like that stinks, man. That's a bummer.
Mike.
My high point, seeing my name in a fucking wrestling documentary.
Congratulations.
Oh man, your low point better be what I think it's gonna be. Continue. Sorry. No, just continue.
No, man. I know that the documentary is getting flack in some places, but I'm really proud of it. I think Billy Corbin and his crew did a great job, and
fantastic.
I got paid to watch Savage matches and write interview questions for wrestlers. Like, that's the fucking coolest. So that was a high point, and yeah, I watched it and I really dug it. My low point, Scott, what is my low point?
Well, dude, I thought your low point was going to be some people's reaction to it, because
okay, yeah, I mean, I'll
Lawrence, I think I've only ever heard you speak highly of one person, and that's Randy Macho Man Savage. So for people to go like, this thing attacked the documentary, and it's like the people I know that were a part of it, I mean, just love Randy Savage. So that was a bummer that people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing of like, he's dead. So in some ways you get to say more
the ending
than some of the live ones, I'm sure. I think that it's just a thing of, those wrestlers like of that time are so entrenched in people's lives that they view them a certain way. I thought that the documentary did a good job of showing nuance. We've never really seen Gorgeous George's side of it. I thought that was fascinating. A few people were upset about Dan Soder, friend of the show's joke about the way Randy died. I was there when they taped it. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I think it's so great. It's so fun. And in order to be a wrestling fan, I think you have to have somewhat of a sense of humor about it. And the people who just worship this stuff and expect it all to be taken seriously, it's like, there's already enough WWE documentaries. There already is a Savage one for you. This was more about him as a person and the complexities of all that. And I thought they did a great job. So
I mean, the Gorgeous George video camera stuff, talk about not breaking kayfabe, guys. I mean, you got to respect that about it.
Yeah. I mean,
there was this weird thing where it's this weird thing in society now where like, you either like if you say one bad thing about somebody, then you're an enemy. It's like either somebody is ultimate good guy or ultimate bad guy. There's just no shades of gray anymore.
But that's what I'm gonna say is like it's also that thing of like where people will be like, well, why is this person getting to talk about him, or why is that person? It's like, you know, we had the 10 years where Steve fucking Lombardi was in every one of these things, like where they all felt the same. It's like, you know, I helped recommend some of the names for this, and it was like, oh shit, that's interesting. You know, the fact that Billy got the guy who designed his outfits and shit, it's like that to me is fascinating. You know, the humanity of these people and the different parts of their lives, and not just, you know, you got to see the Ricky Steamboat talking about that match. We've seen that before. And for people who don't watch wrestling and are tuning into A&E, that's important. They see that. But it's important for people who love wrestling to see other perspectives on this shit. So there, I'm done.
Yeah, also like the priorities of like then you look at the Pillman thing, which I watched and I loved, but people walk out of that, you know, missing Pillman, where you say, oh, his wife is the heel. I mean, Brian Pillman is the heel. Like he's the bad guy in that.
I mean, it just seems like everybody's kind of wounded in that.
Oh, absolutely. But if we're gonna sit here and say that his wife is the bad guy, then he is it's Bonnie and Clyde in that situation.
Right. Well, that's true. And I have not seen the Macho Man one yet, but I'm looking for. I'm gonna watch it tonight, so I'm pumped to see it. And I know Mike and Billy are both awesome, so I can't wait to see it. Robert, what's your high spot, low spots?
My high spot of the week was Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Universal title on SmackDown. The match over-delivered, in my opinion, for a free match on television. It was a surprising finish because it was Roman going over clean, beating Bryan in the center of the ring. No chicanery, no Jey Uso, no screw job. And it was this feeling of like Bryan's gone. And now there's this whole story that Bryan is theoretically no longer under contract. And is he gone from the company? You know, it whether it's real or whether it's a work, it made that match feel very important when they sometimes don't do that. It was win the title or you're banished. Months ago, when we were talking about Roman Reigns first winning the title, I said the payoff needs to be him versus Bryan, title versus career, and Roman needs to win because the heel heat on him on TV would be huge. Him showing up now claiming that he has rid the WWE of Bryan forever is a great story. And if Bryan legitimately is gone, if he's taking time off, if he's going to go work, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. This was a tremendous payoff. And the way they're booking this Roman Reigns character is some of the best work WWE has ever done. I have two low spots. One of them Dan touched on already, which was the Drew Gulak, Angel Garza rose up the ass,
which is insane because we saw QT Marshall's ass this week, and we did,
yeah, but they blurred it, and that disappointed me because that's what the fans want. They want to see QT's crack. But what was
I heard they blurred it because there was a rose up it.
Guys,
what if it's Garza's new thing now? He's just like, "Ooh, I'm the Johnny Appleseed, but buttholes and roses."
Yes, it's like
we will be selling Boo T Marshall t-shirts.
Boo T Marshall.
Oh God! What was strange about it was they didn't establish who the heel was in this match between Garza and Gulak going into it, because it was just Garza walking around in the back with a rose, and Gulak's like, "Hey, you look stupid with that rose. Let's fight." And he's like, I'm going to shove this rose up your ass. And then he wins and then shoves the rose up his ass. And I'm like, so was this a babyface making good on his promise? Was this a heel? I don't know what it was, but they were literally like, hey, shove the rose up his butt and kicked him. Coming up next on Raw. It was they moved past it. The other low spot, which was kind of a high spot for me, is we finished recording last Thursday. I come out to the family room. I put on ESPN to watch the NFL draft. I love watching the first round of the draft. It's great. The very first pick, the mighty Jaguars of Jacksonville, Florida. And they cut to their war room. And there's two tables. There's one table with Urban Meyer, legendary coach who I hate with a passion because he screwed the Gators over. All of these smart, intelligent scouts and people. And then there's another table sitting alone by himself with a notebook is Tony Khan.
I didn't know that.
It is the greatest thing I have ever seen, because they keep cutting back. I'm like, no one's talking to him. Even his dad, who at one point walked by him, had walked away. Everybody's celebrating, and Tony's just sitting there by himself. It was the epitome of everything I always thought about Tony Khan. All right, nerd, you want to be here because your dad owns a team. You sit there by yourself. You book your Darby Allin bullshit. Leave the football to the rest of us. That was my high point, low point.
I mean, I will say this though: he's done a way better job with fucking AEW than his dad has done with the Jaguars. But
I feel like the only 2 times that Shad Khan has watched wrestling was the exploding barbed wire death match and blood and guts. He's like, my money.
Well, speaking of not making money, it's time for Gimmicks, where we decide which gimmick was the worst. This week, it's the battle of the sanitation workers, Duke the Dumpster Droese versus TL Hopper. I thought this was going to be hard, but when I watched the TL Hopper matches, I was like, yeah, this guy's better. This guy's way better. The character's way better. I mean, Duke the Dumpster Droese is probably a better wrestler in ring than TL Hopper was. But like, you know, just like a creepy plumber is just like a more fun character than like a beloved grocer, like beloved trash man. Also, like you can tell by the booking, Vince hates every job that has a strong union. You know, whether it's trash man or writer, hates it. Scott, what were you saying?
Also, the thing about TL Hopper is, in terms of what kids are afraid of, that is a very real thing. I remember being petrified of anybody coming over to fix a thing.
Yeah, especially a toilet. Like your toilet.
Oh, it's just the dirt. It's just as a kid. Again, I mean, plumber now. I go, Jesus Christ, I should have been a fucking plumber, man. I'd have the nicest home. Anyway, but but yeah, I just genuinely was petrified of plumbers at the time. I didn't know about TL Hopper, but I know if I saw him, I'd go, oh no, what a nightmare. And that's good stuff.
He was TL Hopper was but dirty white
boy.
Tony Anthony and Smoky Mountain. He was like their lead guy for a good long while. So he was like a major dude in the Southern Territories. But you could tell he was a baby face just because he had the name White Boy. But it's this interesting thing where, you know, like Duke the Dumpster Droese, I think was like kind of a mid-carder everywhere, and like seeing like TL Hopper be this big deal in other promotions and then be the fucking plumber guy is just hilarious. I would say, I mean, this is the thing. This is when I was watching. I remember Duke the Dumpster Droese, and I don't really remember TL Hopper.
So you're going to say Duke, the worst gimmick is TL Hopper.
Yeah.
I think part of what makes TL Hopper so charming is Cornette used to always on camera bury Vince for like, you had a wrestling plumber, because they took one of his top guys and made him a wrestling plumber. So you know how much it pissed him off. I think the unfair comparison for me with TL Hopper, Scott, is there was a TV show called Salute Your Shorts. And on Salute Your Shorts, there was an evil, murderous plumber named Zeke the Plumber, which was the single most terrifying thing I ever saw in my childhood. I saw Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. That had nothing compared to Zeke the Plumber, who had part of his face blown off because of a gas explosion. And he would show up next to your bed, plunging in a toilet, and then suck the plunger into your face to steal your soul. TL Hopper had no heel heat compared to that. Duke the Dumpster Droese was a great mid-card babyface character. He's the kind of thing, again, you want on a house show, because when he comes out there for match one, he's banging the trash can. It's loud. It's exciting. He was a big, hulking looking dude who probably could have gone a little better in the company, but it was a more interesting character. The wrestling plumber it sounds like a punchline, and it was death from the beginning.
So it's 50-50. Me and Scott think Duke the Dumpster is a worse gimmick.
Ampanawana, we hold you in our hearts.
And
Mike and Robert
about you, it makes me
wanna fart.
All right. Well, Mike and Robert think TL Hopper, which means we have to have a tiebreaker. Zach, what is the worst gimmick?
The early 1990s of the WWF.
All right. I think that means me and Scott win. Because TL Hopper was 96, 97, technically late 90s.
That's why I don't remember him. All right.
All right. Now it's time for everybody's new favorite segment, Tales from the Indies. We got a lot of submissions. I'll probably tell one if I'll probably tell it after Scott, but yeah, let's when we give it to Scott.
Okay, guys, for new listeners, Tales from the Indies, we did just start it last week. Great episode. You should listen to it. It's when we talk about indie wrestling moments. I mean, disasterful indie wrestling moments, things that make us cringe, things that make us feel better about ourselves. You know, pro wrestling at its best.
When we've done a full show and say, hey, let's also talk about indie wrestling.
There's just something really magical about it. And I'm just genuinely interested in your story. So please definitely send them in. Unfortunately, a lot of the stories I got this week were just like, all right, this was when he was on a bender, and then it's just a guy having a drug overdose in the ring, you know? I'm looking more for like guy shits pants in ring because he ate too much, not guy shits his pants in ring because he doesn't know where he is, you know?
Yeah, we're all aware of Scott Hall, thank you.
Yeah, we're not bloopers, not accidents, you know what I mean? There's a difference, I promise. But this
and then he beat his wife in front of me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're looking for. No.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
But this week I want to shine some light on and you know what? I will post what you need to look up on the WrestleRoast thing, so it'll you'll know what to watch. Maybe some of you will have watched this already if you saw the tweet. That's why you should follow us on Twitter. I'll tweet it tonight. But
in fact, pause the show right now, go look up the clip, and then come back.
Yeah, this is the
We'll
clip.
wait.
This is where pro wrestling goes to die. That is the name of the clip, and it is the Crusher versus some clown. And I don't mean like I'm calling him some clown. That's what he's billed as. And I don't know if that's what he's billed as or if it's just this crowd didn't catch his name. It's definitely the most disrespectful. It's like the stipulation of this match was fans get to say how they feel about it out loud. Because everybody had an opinion out loud. To the point where, so after the match, hold on, I have to find the quote. The moment this match ends, again, and it's the Crusher versus some clown, and some clown is just some clown. It's just a guy dressed like a clown. Oh, brother, I don't know. I don't have the. Because
this is in the South. This is either 1974 or last week. It's
Yeah,
hard to tell.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely recent enough, and it's just a guy dressed like a clown versus the Crusher, who is like, you know, that kind of fat that like comes with a pack of cigarettes, like kind of like like it's like a drooping fat, like the cigarette smoke makes it, you know, the fat collapse. It's one of those fat people fighting the clown. Then the clown loses, and then the match is like 2.5 minutes. The clown lays there after defeat for 4 minutes. And it's like, is he trying to sell a death angle? It's very uncomfortable. The moment the match ends, the fan videoing it says, "I don't want to live on this planet anymore." And in that exact tone, he just goes, "I don't want to live on this planet anymore."
He also makes a comment about how this is better than fucking his wife, which is bullshit because there's no way that guy either is married or has had sex.
No, it's absolutely.
Man.
Beautiful.
I totally skipped. I did this come in the group text? I totally forgot.
Yeah, it's about 6 minutes of your life you're not getting back.
Dude, here's the top comment. I mean, this is like if you want a reason to watch this. The top comment is, whenever I feel stressed about my job, bills, or just life itself, I spend $5 to $11 to see wrestling like this to make me see that there are always others that have it worse than me. The top comment. And that's what this segment is about. It's about these feel good, but only we feel good moments in indie wrestling. So definitely send them to us. Thank you.
Awesome. An honorable mention, Todd Eastman from Wrestle Radio Australia. This is from him. He goes, "You want indie stories? I was on a show once where a guy wanted to do the Undertaker motorcycle entrance, as a way to enter himself first in a Rumble. Problem is, he came into the building early and didn't realize it until after he'd cut his promo. He then had to grab a chair and sit ringside for a match until the Rumble, and then he cut the same promo again before going into the Rumble. So yeah, I mean, so far, life, 3, professional wrestling 0 as far as these stories is concerned. I don't know what that meant, guys. But it was a long show, guys, we got something to sports entertainment with. It's on Monday. Mondays, you get it on Tuesday, where me and Robert review Raw. This weekend, the roast of Dave Meltzer with Kurt Ryan, and we review Leprechaun Origins. And next week, we got the roast of Jerry the King Lawler. We got the Eddie Gilbert shoot. And for gimmicks, we're gonna do some Memphis gimmicks. Mike, do you have 2 for us?
I do.
Okay.
I have the Galaxians, which are an alien tag team as presented by Jim Cornette, and Cowabunga, the wrestling Ninja Turtle.
I remember Cowabunga.
So there you go. That's gonna be what we're talking about. Memphis is some silly ass shit, and we're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, and we're also gonna be doing Dynamite again. We're gonna be doing high spots, low spots, Tales from the Indie, Bright Side of the Ring, where we talk about all the things we loved about Jerry Lawler, and then the roast where we bury that motherfucker. Let's go through plugs. I'll start off first. Most important thing is tell your friends about this podcast, man. Post about it in any wrestling forums. Become a patron. I really do think it's the best patron deal you're gonna get, and I think this is quickly becoming the best wrestling podcast in the world, to quote CM Punk. So please, thank you all for tuning in and spreading the word. The growth has been great with the show. And I'm back in New York, so I'm doing stand-up. I'm this weekend, I'm going to be at the Comedy Cellar in Stand-Up New York. I'm going to be at Arnold's Park at the end of the month in Iowa doing a gig. Next month, I'm going to be at Laugh It Up in Poughkeepsie. Check it out. Mike?
You can my Instagram is Mike Lawrence Comedy. I just posted a detailed thing about the process of finding out I'm autistic. So, people have reached out and said it's helped them, and so if it helps you, then read it, and I'm happy to talk to you about it.
If it helps you, continue listening to the podcast. So.
What if it's like, if it helps you, become a patron? Like we just used it to get from these guys. Scott.
Yeah, definitely join the Patreon, and Scott_Chaplin on Instagram.
Robert.
You can follow me on Twitter at WWCreative_ISH. Thank you to all the new people who've joined the Facebook group. Keep joining on there if you haven't. And I will be doing the bonus Something to Sports Entertainment with. I'm going to be recording it on Friday, and then it will go up as soon as I figure out how to send it to Zach.
Does that mean we fuck? That means we still have to watch Raw on Monday, right?
Yeah, no, we still have to watch Raw
I love
on Monday.
Dan trying to get out of it already.
And you know what? I will no longer call myself autistic. I'll just say I'm a 4 out of 5 stars on the Meltzer scale.
Oh man, I started writing some of these Meltzer jokes. These are fun, man.
You just took my name out and put in Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, it was just texts I've been writing about you behind your back for 10 years. No, it's really going to be a fun roast, and Kurt is hilarious, so he's going to be great on the show.
And I just want people to know we fucking bring it on these Patreon roasts. They're some of our best ones because we know only people as depraved as us will listen to them. So we go darker, we go weirder. These are totally worth listening to.
Guys, we fuck Meltzer's wife on this page. All right, come on.
Yeah, that second wife fucking comment today.
Guys, you hear that? We fuck Brian Alvarez.
Oh, we're not going to get any better than that. And is that Zach? Do we have any other plugs besides Zach?
Wash your hands.
All right, folks, wash your damn hands. Tune in next week.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.